All right, and we are live. As you can see, it's Mr. Matthew Fox and myself today, just doing a little bit of audio testing, trying to make sure we don't have any issues on our last end. So we figured we'd jump on and talk a little bit about some of the NFL news, big player opt-out news, more so today than I think any other day. But Matt, how you doing today on this beautiful Wednesday?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just troubled that the Marquise Goodwin opt out didn't ruin all your wide receiver plans.
It did not. I mean, nobody has really ruined my plans yet. But just to give an update, we kind of touched on it on Monday's episode. Again, as I mentioned, if you've listened to Monday's episode, I will apologize again. It gets pretty bad. I don't know what was going on with the audio in that episode, but we're hoping that we've got it fixed now. We've seen a lot more players opt out since we talked about it Monday,
Yeah.
and really, I guess the biggest one would be Damian Williams, who dropped here just a little bit ago.
Today.
Just about 30 minutes ago, that the Chiefs said that he opted out. I'm not like I get it. I'm not going to hold anything against any player who decides they want to do something. I've seen some people doing it, which is just insane to me. But I guess what are your thoughts on that? Because to me, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I feel like when we talked about the running backs, we were kind of thinking him and CEH would split time. I still don't see this being fully CEH's backfield. I don't see it to where he's going to take over and be like everybody's talking about him being like a top 10 running back. Now, I don't see that. But obviously, I do think he'll probably get an increase in carries now with Williams being gone for sure.
Well, I think that the big thing is we've talked about no preseasons, no actual game reps. I was listening to local today when they were interviewing Fangio and Elway talking about the differences, and I didn't realize they can only have 14 padded practices even
Yeah.
in all of training camp. So that's a really scant amount of preparation. If you have a veteran guy like Damian Williams, that's why I think a lot of us thought Williams might be good first half of the season, and then you'd see CEH take over a little bit deeper. Might be the case even with some guys we really like Jonathan Taylor. You might see more Marlon Mack in week 1 and 2 than you will in week 10 and 11. So I think what is a bummer for Kansas City is Williams was really kind of the only veteran back that had good playing experience. I know people are going to say they have Darrell Williams. I guess he could be next man up. They have Darwin Thompson. Those truthers are going to come back around. They did sign. I actually think the one that might end up. He's new to the system, but we saw DeAndre Washington actually take over and carry the load for Josh Jacobs when he got hurt last year, and he was a guy I was like, well, maybe he won't even make the roster. Now, not only do I think he might make the roster, he might end up having a more active role just because he's a guy who's played more, who's a veteran more. You know, the things that you worry about with rookie running backs too is not so much can they carry the ball and run because hopefully that's why you signed them. Pass routes, but protections are like the big one. And obviously, Patrick Mahomes, the $100 million man back there, $500 million man back there, you don't want the rookie to miss an assignment against Houston and have JJ Watt like take him out. So to me, I'm looking at that like, CH is still going to be good. He probably gets an uptick in action. All those people that took him first in rookie drafts have got to be rejoicing a little bit because his path got cleared more. But I'm with you. I don't think this automatically means that he's 25 carries a game every game from week one.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I don't even know if it'll matter with if Watt takes him out, just because I mean we've seen him dislocate his kneecap and come back a couple days or a couple weeks later anyway. So I'm not sure that matters.
Yeah, you'd really ideally like to avoid that though. But the Chiefs have a pretty good passing offense. Fortunately, their first game's at home. It's that primetime NFL kickoff game against Houston, which is a scrappy team, and Houston's never as healthy all season as they will be week one. So
Yeah.
they could be facing a decent challenge. I don't think it's killer for the Chiefs, but to me that was the first kind of fantasy relevant name. Devin Funchess, some we thought he might end up having a role. He was obviously in the potential competition for the wide receiver 2 spot in Green Bay. So now it's really back to Alan Lazard's season or Marquez Valdez Scantling or um, you know see what comes of that. Marquise Goodwin had kind of a really undefined role too. I think Williams is probably the first guy that we thought might have a big fantasy impact that's sitting down.
Yeah. So I guess for me, I'm trying to think of. I mean, let's. I know you were mentioning it beforehand in our group chat about the Patriots. Give us a rundown on all those. I guess the biggest ones would be Chung and my goodness, why did I forget the linebacker's name? Uh,
Donta Hightower.
yeah, they both opted out, which is big. Obviously, Chung, one of their better defensive, and same with Hightower. Hightower is definitely one of their best. He was scheduled to make $8 million this year. So same thing with Damian Williams. This was not a back end of the roster guy. This was a guy who was secured in his spot, going to make a lot of money, and chose his family, kind of like Marquise Goodwin, which we just mentioned a little bit ago. I mean, your thoughts on them? Because the Patriots have had a lot of guys opt out. Is this possibly their tank for Trevor?
I don't think they're actively tanking. I did think it was kind of interesting. The one that I think the thing that magnifies Deontay Hightower and um, Patrick Chung opting out is the fact that the Patriots lost so many players on defense this offseason. I'm trying to pull up the list here, but I mean, Kyle Van Noy, who was one of their big linebackers, went to Miami. Let's look some of the other. Obviously, they lost Brady and stuff, but they lost quite a few defensive pieces too. That I was looking at. Kyle Van Noy went to Miami. Jamie Collins went to Detroit. Danny Shelton went to Detroit. They don't have Goskowski, that kicker veteran, obviously losing uh, Tom Brady. And they just had Nate Solder uh, uh, go to the Giants. He opted out, and then they had Marcus Cannon opt out. Um, so that kind of puts another hole on their offensive line. So it's kind of the preponderance of guys um, that they've lost. It eradicates to me a lot of their depth on defense too. Losing Jamie Collins and Van Noy in free agency, and then Dante Hightower opting out means you've lost three kind of experienced linebackers. But I think if any coach is capable of overcoming it, it's probably Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's probably the one coach that's not too worried about all of this stuff. I guess the next biggest news again that we're not planning on being on here the usual hour like we are. We just want to talk about a little bit of this stuff. Was Joey Bosa getting paid, and I mean paid big time? Myles Garrett held the highest defensive contract for 15 days before Joey Bosa got paid, which was also kind of surprising because we've really seen the Chargers. Haven't paid out a lot of players. They had this when he got drafted by the Chargers. He had that kind of rookie holdout for a while because of language in his contract. We saw that with Melvin Gordon last year. So it kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit. They were actually willing to pay him. Makes sense. One of the best defensive ends in the game. I think he's had 40 sacks in the past 4 years, and one of those being injured a lot with the groin. I think it was a groin or hamstring, one of those two. So, what are your thoughts on Bosa here and him getting paid with the Chargers?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're investing in their best players. They have a lot of good young players. They've done a pretty good job drafting the last few years, and if they think Herbert is the man that can kind of carry them, and I know that's a player you're a big fan of. Really, when you're looking at those windows of getting to the Super Bowl, it's really great when you have a rookie quarterback that you hit on, um, because you can afford to then pay some other guys, some big guys in other positions that will help you get there. So, with Herbert being the first round pick, their 5 year window starts right now. So it makes sense to me that you would kind of splash out, make a commitment to the guys you need to keep. They're going to have a lot of interesting questions this offseason. Hunter Henry's on the franchise tag, so he's here this year, but you don't know about long term. Keenan Allen in a contract year, Mike Williams coming up toward the end of his deal. So they're going to have to kind of figure those things out. I think it's a no brainer that Joey Bosa is a guy you want to keep that can be a real anchor and a force on that defense. I think they have a really good safety, Derwin James.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's probably another guy that they're going to be looking at. They have some veterans in there, so it makes some sense to not to start knocking some of these out of the way. When Denver was on its run with Peyton Manning, you'd see, in the off season, the end of the season prior, Elway would lock up some of these key guys on long term contracts before he even got to an off season because they knew, hey, we have our window and this is what we're going to try to do. And I think it's a shrewd move. The Chargers moving into a new building this year, trying to build up a new fan base. They have a new uh, they have a new quarterback that's some optimism. We saw him lock up Austin Eckler, who's a weapon that they think can really help them compete. They have a couple of young running backs to add to that stable. They've made some moves on the offensive line. They're going to have a lot of offensive skill player questions come next offseason. Makes sense to just knock one out of the way.
Yeah, so sticking with the Chargers here for a second. You just mentioned it, Allen. I think Williams is going into his 5th year with the option. So if you had to guess, because obviously they have Herbert, and Herbert's going to be their longtime quarterback, I think Chargers winning that division. A bold take. I don't know if they're going to win it this year, but I think they will be in the next couple of years with Justin Herbert there. So if you had to pick one of them, I guess for them to resign, or you think they're going to resign, whether it's Allen or Williams, who do you think that they will pick?
That's tough. I mean, I think Keenan Allen's a better player, but he's also uh, a little older. Um, you know, Mike Williams has a lot of talent, but we haven't seen him totally put it together. I think it may depend a little bit on who Herbert connects with and how things go this season. Maybe the money they're looking for.
Yeah.
Uh, it's possible they franchise tag someone. Hunter Henry's another question because obviously they really like him as a potential tight end. They liked him enough to franchise tag him this year. The fact that you kind of have all three of your primary pass catchers coming up is, if I was a GM, would be give a little bit of heartburn. But maybe they'll be able to work out a deal with one of the receivers during the season this year or early in the offseason that'll provide some clarity.
All right, so that's kind of all the news we've got right now. I'm gonna make a quick change to something and see. As I said, we're trying to test some stuff out here today, but we thought we'd talk about some NFL stuff. We have not filled up our listener league yet, so I'm gonna kind of disappear off the screen for a minute, and I'm gonna let Matt Fox. He's gonna commission it this year, 14 team. I'm gonna let him kind of give you some details on our listener league here, and then I will be right back.
Yep. So as he said, it's going to be a 14-team league. We're hosting it on Sleeper PPR. It is a super flex league. I don't think there's any other kind of crazy scoring. We have about half the league is filled up so far. So if you're interested in being part of that, you can just reach out to us on Twitter, either to me or Dennis or Matt. Just let us know, and we'll look at putting it in. I think our idea is we'll have a slow draft. We'll get started hopefully here a little bit into August so that we have plenty of time to work our way through it. Um, so the one difference scoring in it is PPR plus a point 0.5 bonus for tight ends. So that is probably one of the little different receiving scoring. So obviously with 14 teams and being a super flex, going to have a lot of strategy and hopefully a lot of good luck. But that'll be something that we're excited to get going. We've had a couple of different ways that you can play against us this off season. We did an eliminator for Fantasy Cares earlier. I'm kind of excited about that. Entering into best ball, a few of us are in different Devi leagues that we're doing with listeners from the show. That's actually my first time doing that league format. So kind of excited about that. And now we have just a straight redraft league. So we've tried to make it open so that you guys have a bunch of different opportunities to try different leagues and to play with us and to have some time to share and enjoy our passion together.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, so this works as well. Still hearing a little bit of an echo, but we'll figure it out. I just wanted to try a couple different things here and see what's going on. So I've got this bad boy too if I need to break it out. Do I sound okay? I don't oh, sorry, I muted you.
Yeah, you sound okay.
All right, cool. So, all right. So if you guys reach out to Matt, me, Dennis, as well at culture_coach, we'll get you guys set up with that, where we're still looking to put it together. I think we still got some spots left to fill, as Matt said, but it should be a lot of fun. So definitely reach out to one of us if you want to get in. You have a chance to win some free swag from me if you win the league, and some bragging rights, beating all three of us. So beating me is not really that much of an accomplishment. So that'll do it for us today. Like I said, we just wanted to test some stuff and see if we could figure out what's going on. So you guys have yourselves a great day, and we will talk to you guys again tomorrow when Dennis will be back with us, and we will talk about our wide receiver ranks.
Have a good night.